William Morrow and HarperAudio present A Scot to the Heart, Desperately Seeking Duke, by Caroline Linden, performed by Beverley A. Crick. Chapter 1. 1787. Fort George, Ardeshir, Scotland. The broken wheel was the last straw. The company had been out for a fortnight on the most miserable assignment, repairing roads in an incessant misty drizzle. They were within 2 miles of Fort George's warm, dry beds and hot food when a wheel of the equipment wagon found an overlooked hole and tilted with a groan and a sickening snap of spokes. Efforts to raise it were in vain. Resigned, the men and officers unloaded the shovels and pickaxes and other tools onto their own backs and began the weary trudge to Ardeshir. When they reached the long narrow bridge into the fort, an eternity later, there was an outburst of exclamations. Relief. Pain. Profanity toward the army for the road detail, and against God for the fecking rain. Their captain, leading his tool-laden horse through mud that covered his ankles, his sodden sash draped over his head, silently agreed, and vowed he would ask the colonel for 3 days' leave for the men. On days like this, he hated the army too. At very long last, after unloading the tools, dismissing his men, and delivering his horse to the stables, he turned toward his own lodging. As a captain, he had cramped quarters in one of the long buildings facing the Firth of Moray. Not that anyone could see the Firth today. "Welcome back, sir," said Mackinnon, as he let himself into the 2 small rooms that were home. "The colonel's wanting you." Dripping wet, slathered in mud, half-starved and tired almost unto unconsciousness, Andrew St. James just stood in the doorway, his hand still on the latch. "What now?" he asked hopelessly. His man nodded. "Aye, Captain, post haste," he said. Bloody saints, I hate the army, Drew thought. Damn it. He unbuckled his sword belt with stiff fingers. Mackinnon passed him a towel to mop his face as he stripped off his wet clothing. He longed for a hot bath and shave, to say nothing of putting off his uniform for a comfortable banyan. But he'd learned the hard way that the colonel's impatience overrode his attention to matters of dress, so he pulled on fresh garments. Mackinnon ran a hasty brush over his jacket, handed him his bonnet, and gave a crisp nod. "I hope it's good news, Captain." He gave a grim nod. That would run counter to his luck of late. "Aye, let's hope." He didn't expect it would be. These summonses rarely were. He strode through the open square, holding his cloak close around him as he went. From one barracks drifted the sounds of a piper and laughter of men at ease. The scent of pipe smoke and roast mutton followed him across the quadrangle, blackening his mood even more. He ought to be sitting down to his own dinner instead of dancing attendance on the querulous colonel. With more force than necessary, he banged on the door of the colonel's house. Colonel Fitzwilliam enjoyed superior housing and dining. The aroma of roast beef and fresh bread hit like a punch when the servant let him in, setting his temper to simmering. Whatever Fitzwilliam wanted to see him about had better be damned important, he thought, as he waited in the office. The colonel came in several minutes later, a scowl on his florid face and a napkin still tucked across his ample abdomen. "St. James," he said irritably, "what took you so long?" Drew kept his gaze on the swords hanging above the mantel. The clink of silver on china and the light lilt of Mrs. Fitzwilliam's laugh reached his ears. A dinner party, probably with syllabub. His stomach growled resentfully. "We've only just returned from detail, sir."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?